One time like this, make it pop like this, make it knock like this, make it drop like. One time like this, make it pop like this, make it knock like this, make it drop like.
Hello. Ladies and gentlemen. Did I mention ladies? It's my pleasure to introduce myself. I go by the name of Ghost. I will be your tour guide through this story. This story was created for my future son. Unfortunately, as I got into it, it became a lot more than I bargained for. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you groan, roll you something up. And pour yourself a drink. If not, get a juice box, bitch. I don't give a fuck. This story is written as real people, and written in the format of an anime. So don't get sidetracked by the images. I'm just poor and can't afford real actors.
As the lights started dimming down, the ground also stopped shaking. People of the town started going berserk. Reports went out all over the area telling the order what had just happened. The troops were already armed and ready for battle. It took a while to clear everyone off the streets, and then to move in the detainment crew. When they got there, they swarmed in and surrounded us. This time they were ready with thousands of level 4s. They meant business, and I could tell because as soon as they were in range they started blasting away. Every single shot barely making contact. Me and Kaido went on the attack. Kaido put a thin layer of water on the floor, and then I froze it, making it hard for the drones to walk on. Then Kaido warped a ball of water into a huge water bat, making it as hard as steel. I followed up Kaido's bat by forming ice around my hands like two huge mallets. I overestimated the amount of soul energy to use, and they came out way bigger than I imagined. They were the length of a bus and the width of a door. They crumbled to pieces after using them as a shield, taking shot after shot from the energy guns. Kaido looked so impressed, you should have seen his face, it was priceless. He was jealous, I know it. Good thing he didn't know I wasn't actually trying to make a barrier, I just made my weapons too big and too heavy. Dodging the energy shots from the drones was hard to do because there were so many of them, and if you moved too much you would end up getting hit by another one. Once they got close up on us, I recreated the ice arm mallets from the pieces that fell off. This time getting them a lot closer to the right size, but they were still too heavy. Katsuo started out good, but then he wasted so much soul energy creating those stupidly big arm mallet things. I know he thinks that I was impressed, but I wasn't, and I know he didn't do it on purpose. I sighed, what can you do though? The second mallets he made were fine though, just a tad bit too big. The way he was swinging them let me know they were still too heavy, because he was just spinning in a complete circle with both arms stretched out. After I had to jump out of the way from his attacks, he started destroying the drones one by one until there were no more, and he got dizzy. Katsuo fell on the floor, unable to move from being so dizzy. The next wave of drones came, but they stayed off a distance, knowing close range wasn't the ideal place to be fighting us from. The order sent in the sniper drones in order to pick us off from a distance. The drones let off a barrage of shots at us. They came at us from so many different directions, and so fast that we couldn't keep up with them all. They forced Katsuo and me to go back to back. We were pinned down, so I made a water sphere that covered us completely. The shots still came flying in at us, hitting the water sphere and getting trapped in it. Pay attention, Katsuo, I want you to look at the energy shots, and when I pull down the water sphere, aim in the direction of the energy shots because we need to draw them out. The water sphere dropped and converged back together in front of us. Me and Kaido were eyeing down our target areas. His water ball thing started firing out water pellets, ripping through everything they hit. I think something is wrong with my powers though, because it never does what I want it to do. I tried to make an ice version of Kaido's water sphere, but it came out like slush. Kaido's always trying to show me up with his control over his power, I hate it sometimes. He's a big baby that wants to prove he's better than me. After Kaido's water sphere stopped firing out the water pellets, the drones started scattering like roaches running from light. The drones got back into position, hiding in a safer area, then started firing at us again. I put my hand on the floor and created an ice fortress. Damn it, Katsuo. Are you serious? Why did you never practice using your ice? The ice fortress was a lot of help, but that idiot froze the ground and my legs along with it. I have to admit, for Katsuo to be so stupid, he's pretty smart. With the time we were in his ice fortress, Katsuo came up with a brilliant idea. Katsuo made it so cold in the fortress that it started to get really foggy. In a flash, the fortress fell to the ground and the fog started rolling out into the damaged city. The snipers caught a glance at our bodies and shots went off. The loud sounds of energy rifle gunfire went off simultaneously. The energy shots tore through their targets, making our bodies drop to the ground. The snipers came out of hiding and started approaching our bodies. Swoosh, out of nowhere the walls went back up surrounding the snipers in the ice fortress. It was pitch black inside and the drones began to blindly shoot their guns inside of the fortress. That's when me and Katsuo walked out of the back wall of the fortress. Katsuo separated the inside and outside walls of the ice fortress, and I filled it up with my water. A doorway opened up on the outside, letting us get into the water part of the wall. Once we were in between the two walls, I made the water dense, so that we could be protected by the water and ice. As the drones realized the bodies they shot were merely ice replicas, they understood why we didn't try to dodge the shots. Katsuo created 2 ice blades, then told me to stay put and watch. The drones saw the ice blades and morphed their guns into swords. Katsuo opened up a doorway into the inside of the ice fortress and charged at the drones. It was incredible, he actually stepped up and impressed me. He was moving so fast that my eyes couldn't keep up with his movements. Before I knew it, they were all destroyed. Yeah, that's right. I kicked ass in there, and that dummy Kaido saw exactly why he could never take my spotlight away. The drones turned their eyes into lights and started to charge at me. The first one tried to cut me in half with a swipe coming down. I sidestepped to my right and used my left ice blade, swinging it diagonally upwards, chopping his head off. After my ice blade went all the way through his body and decapitated it, its head it froze completely. The force of the spin caused me to spin all the way around. Once I spun back around, I ran to the next 2 closest drones. They pulled back their swords and thrusted them at me, trying to stab through my stomach. I slid on the ground right before they made contact and rammed both ice blades into their stomachs, freezing them completely. While I was sliding between them, 4 other drones came flying down out of the air trying to gut me. I ripped my ice blades back out of the 2 drones and rammed them into the ground over my head, stopping me mid-slide. Then I kicked my legs up, flipping me on the shoulders of the 2 frozen drones. I pushed off the 2 drones, spinning like a top as I grabbed my ice blades out of the ground. I was spinning so fast that I looked like a blob. The ice blades cut the 4 drones, leaving swirl-shaped gashes all over them, turning them into blocks of ice. I dug my right ice blade into the ground, stopping me from spinning. I dropped to the floor on one knee, then took my ice blade out of the ground. I stood up with both ice blades at my side and ran towards the last 3 drones, zigzagging. The last 3 drones morphed their guns into whips, then started continuously whipping them at me. I moved through them like I knew exactly where they were going to strike next. As soon as I got in the face of the first one, I put both of the ice blades on my left side and jumped in the air, swinging them. The right blade first, then the left blade in a spinning motion. The first one got hit by both blades, and when I came back down, the second one was there to catch my left blade with an upward slice. They both froze completely. Now it was only me and the last drone. It looked around at all the frozen drones and tried to run for it. I touched the 2 handles of the ice blades together, freezing them to each other. They created a double-ended sword. I threw it at the drone, gutting and freezing it on impact. I collapsed the ice fortress and walked over to Kaido. Off in the distance we could see the 3rd raid coming in. This raid was to overpower us with numbers. They came in different formations and units, trying to catch us off guard. Me and Katsuo were trying to keep an eye on all of them and what they were doing, but they caught us off guard when they fired a soul energy mortar. That mortar hit right in front of us and blew up, separating me and Katsuo. I started hurling massive amounts of water into the clouds. That was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen. Out of all the drones he could have hit with the water, he threw it all into the sky. He must have just been intimidated by all of my manliness, the way I handled those drones in the ice fortress. Kaido just looked at me though and said, "Trust me." Then a massive amount of water came rushing out of my arms, flowing out everywhere. The parts of the already destroyed drones got swept up in the waves. The drones from the third raid tried to do everything in their power to keep their footing, but ended up getting pushed back. The clouds started getting dark and lightning started flashing throughout them. I told Katsuo to make an ice shield all around us. Things are getting out of control here. If we don't get out of here now, their numbers will get to us. We need to find Shamir and get the hell out of here. As he said that, big flashes of light came out from the distance. A voice came over a loudspeaker saying, "Surrender, or the level 3s will be released." Katsuo and I scoffed at the idea like they were insects. That must have infuriated them, because without even batting an eyelash they unleashed more level 3s. These ones were quick, I couldn't keep up with their movements, and I think Katsuo couldn't either, because he was just standing there. As the new level 3s came rushing towards us, a huge bolt of lightning came hurling down, cracking the ground in a lot of different directions. Katsuo and I took advantage of the situation, taking cover behind the wall of a building that once stood there. This was our only chance to catch our breath. I told Katsuo that I was starting to get scared. Then asked, "Are we going to be okay?" That little weenie started getting scared, so I told him that we'd be fine. I would never let anything happen to him. Then I asked him why he put all that water in the sky. He said so that it would rain. As soon as he said that, I got an idea. Smash! A level 3 drone came crashing through the wall, flying right over us. As soon as I saw it, I created an ice katana and cut the head off of it. After they saw us, they all came in pursuit, storming at us. Then little specks of rain started to fall from the sky. You could see them hitting the water that was still on the ground. Katsuo looked at me with confusion in my plan. I expanded all the water in the clouds and held it up there before it all fell. Then I pulled all of it together, forming one huge ball of water. As soon as I did that, I told Katsuo to concentrate on the target and freeze the water ball. He stared at it, not blinking and slowly breathing, then put everything he had into freezing it, making it turn into a giant ice meteor. The huge mass of ice fell down towards the ground, crushing everything in its way. All the level 4s that had come with the level 3s got flattened on contact, but the level 3s were equipped with energy shields. The level 3s then blasted a hole for them to get through. Me and Kaido didn't plan on that happening, because the ice shield we were under wasn't going to be able to hold up against anything else. They had us surrounded, swords aimed straight at us, and were about to come down with swings of their swords. What were we going to do? Asked Kaido, reaching for the key to airship, hoping she would come and save us. He pushed the button.
Everything in the area came to a complete stop, including Kaido and Katsuo. A hand reached out, touching them, both of them, making it possible for them to move.
We looked around, noticing that everything except for us were at a complete standstill. We looked at the hand that was out touching us, and there stood Shamir with a smile on her face.
You're lucky we made it in time.
This story is meant to do one thing, and one thing only. I won't give you answer now, but when you realize what it is, I hope it brings you the same peace of mind it brought me. There's no agenda or propaganda that comes with it. I give you my hand openly, if you choose to accept it. Oh, like and subscribe, you lazy ass, punk bitch. With love, Ghost.